What's up, everybody? This is episode 29 of DeltaHalo, the podcast for all things Halo 5. I'm Sergeant, and with me this week is MattyIce. Unfortunately, Cat's not here, but what's up, man?
How's it going, everybody?
What have you been up to this weekend, past week time?
Past week time, it's been pretty busy. I've had my cousin's 21st birthday was last weekend, so we did the good older cousin thing and took him out and about and had some fun with that and revelry, if you will.
There you go.
And other than that, been playing a bunch of Halo, trying to practice up and get ready here. So it's been really about it.
Yeah, definitely been practicing, gotta practice up. So we'll get into that a little bit later in the show, but before we go further, guys, please hit subscribe, give us a rating and review in iTunes. We've been getting some really good ones, as we say, every week, but this week I actually want to read one that we got from a listener named The Brave. So let me just read this real quick. He says, "Hey guys, another fellow Drunken Halo member. This is the only other Halo podcast I listen to. You guys have great chemistry together. Love the fact that you talk about the pro scene along with your general discussion. I will definitely be joining a game night soon. Hope to see you guys on. Keep up the good work." So thank you, Brave. But I gotta say, he is on Drunken Halo's roster for the Halo Bowl this week. So if these words are true, if this sentiment is something that you really feel dear about, we expect your pistol to jam, throw a few matches when we match up against you this week.
The dreaded thumb cramp.
Yeah, who knows? You might just not be able to go on mid-match or something.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But thank you so much for that review. It's great. We always love seeing those. And we're recording this episode, as we always do, which you can catch up on our YouTube channel, espawngaming on YouTube. So definitely check that out on Wednesday of this week, which will be pretty much when we have, Halo Bowl going on. We'll talk about those details in a minute, but you can follow us on Twitter as well at part_time_elite, or send us an email of your thoughts at espawngaming@gmail.com. So we talked about scrimming a little bit, practicing a little bit last week. We're getting ready for Halo Bowl this week. On Wednesday, June 8th, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, that is, Eastern Time. Don't get confused. That will be live streamed on twitch.tv/podtacular. Those guys have been gracious enough to lend us their Twitch channel and host this one for us. We'll have commentators, Mudcat and Raikou. It's gonna be legit, guys. If you didn't listen to last week's joint podcast that we put up with all the guys from Drunken Halo, Podtacular, and Podcast Evolve, I urge you to go back, listen to that one. That's episode 28 of DeltaHalo. That was a good one. Oh gosh, excuse me.
Okay.
And we will have the links to all this stuff in the description here, but please check out our campaign on Gamers Outreach to help us build a go-kart. It just takes a simple donation. We're trying to build these go-karts that will go into children's hospitals, bring games and the joy of gaming to kids that are stuck in their beds or in their hospital room. So, man, we think it's a great cause. We're super excited to be a part of it. What are you thinking, man? We've practiced a little bit. What are your thoughts right now, 2 days before?
I mean, I'm getting ready. Starting to get a little bit of the pregame jitters going on. I did want to mention just going back to Gamers Outreach and the go-karts and stuff they really are awesome. I mean, it's kids that can't go. Most hospitals have rooms where kids can go and they can play, some type of game or do something or move around. But a lot of the kids aren't able to actually do that. They're too sick or something's going on with their body physically that they can't get up and go. So this is a great idea that brings something that's joyful to their lives, and really just if anything helps out, a couple bucks here or there, just definitely great cause. We've been into it for a while and we love it. So other than that, I'm getting ready. I went out and thank you to my employer for hooking me up with a gift card that I was able to then purchase an Elite controller with. So now I'm on the level of everyone else and making moves. Making moves, exactly. And I'm going to say it's consistently been more accurate on my sheet after the game, whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's called.
Post-game
carnage report has been statistically better the last week since I got this thing. So it's been awesome, and I'm pumped to get it going for real. So
hell yeah, it's impressive that you noticed a spike so quickly, because It took me a long time. I mean, I changed up all my button mapping and
well,
everything,
I haven't done that, so.
but still, I mean, it's a different feel and everything. So that's good news. Great news for Team DeltaHalo.
That's right. Yeah, I switched some buttons up a little bit. I was like, all right, I got to move this here. This will be easier. Then I was like, all right, hold on. We got a tournament in a week. Rather than relearning all this muscle memory stuff, I'm going to just change a couple things and then just get the feel of the better joystick, better. I mean, honestly, just the trigger is. You're welcome, Xbox and Microsoft, for the shout out for the new controller, by the way. But just even the triggers is it's awesome how you can just rip pistol shots. So.
The hairline, right?
The hairline.
You can kind of make the draw on the trigger shorter.
Yep. Between 5 and 20, I put it. So it's like that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What I can't say enough about it because I got mine at Christmas this past year. And I mean, I love my controller now. I don't know how we went so long gaming with other controllers. This Elite, it's so fantastic. And
bunch of amateurs.
Oh, man. Cat, although he's not here, is getting hooked up with some Astros, so he's going to be hearing everything, hearing those footprints. Everybody better watch out if you're creeping around corners. Cat's going to hear you coming. Gosh, yeah, we're getting tuned up. Here.
We're ready.
I can't wait for it, though. We definitely have to get some more time in this week. Hopefully a little bit tonight, Monday, some tomorrow on Tuesday. I know you guys are off work all day on Wednesday, going to be gaming hard on that grind, trying to get ready for the tournament. But, man, ready to go.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We can't wait. So,
all right, so it's been 2 weeks, I guess, since we had that joint episode last week. We didn't record. We had a trivia question from the week before that, so 2 weeks ago, episode 27. It was another sound that we played. It was a little bit challenging because it sounded like another map. It was very similar, but we definitely got some questions right away from some of you guys. Method, Roach, a few other people sent in their answers immediately and said, yep, you know what? I thought it was Coliseum at first, but I knew it really was Tyrant, and it was down by the sniper spawn on the map Tyrant, the new one that came out with from 2 DLCs ago, maybe 1 DLC ago.
Sounds about right.
So yes, congratulations to those who got that one right, and the ultimate congratulations to Roach, who ended up finishing the May trivia season with 7 points, and will be receiving. He is the winner of a fantastic DeltaHalo T-shirt. So please, Roach will just stand by. We'll be sending you an email letting you know kind of what the details are. We'll get one of those out to you. Everybody kind of stay tuned. If you didn't get the chance to win one this month, stay tuned for June into July. We're not going to have a trivia question this week, unfortunately. I think we're going to retool that a little bit. We've gotten a lot of feedback, and I think we're just going to try and tune that up a little bit more to be just a little bit more interesting. Try and mix it up. Maybe not multiplayer maps all the time. Maybe some weapons or vehicles, whatever it may be. So we'll still stick with the sound, but definitely look to next week, episode 30, when we get the trivia questions again. But again, thank you all to everybody who has participated so far. But let's jump into the news. There's been a lot going on with the Pro League side, right? So lots over there and not a lot else going on because I think they're really just trying to wait for... Hog Wild came out.
Yep.
We got all the new Rex, but we didn't get anything else from that. That's being pushed back into the June update, right?
Yep.
So that'll be coming out with Warzone, Firefights update, and we'll have a whole lot more some multiplayer maps, obviously, but arena maps, Warzone maps. I'm assuming a Warzone Assault map. I think they're really going to load this one up with a lot of content, probably the biggest one to date, I would assume. So that's going to be really exciting. The one thing that did come out along with the first week of Halo Pro League was team skins from the Pro League team. So teams like CLG, EG, Enigma 6, all those teams have their own skins now, which is interesting. If you love a team, you can rep it. But this kind of leads me into my next point being that Naded, the guy that we always talk about, it's been, one of our favorite guys to follow in the Halo Pro scene, retired from Optic Gaming last week, 3 or 4 days before Pro League kicked off, which was, man, what a big deal for the Optic team, kind of scrambling to pick up APG from Liquid, who was out because of the car accident that he was in, and he was able to step in, and man, that's a whirlwind for a team to jump into right into their first match.
Yep. I mean, it was really crazy. I mean, we talked about it. They didn't look right. Everything looked off. Naded looked off. The whole team looked off. I mean, it's well documented on our podcast that something was going on there. It didn't look right, and yeah, I guess that's what it was.
Yeah,
You know?
it's too bad. It's too bad. I mean, you are in pro league. Like, this is essentially, you could make this a job, and
Right.
if you have dedication and treat it that way, you will. You'll get paid. You'll make that payday. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be work, but it's a job, man. It's work.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you gotta kind of buckle down and get into it. And that was kind of the main thing he said. It was like, man, I came into this expecting to really get into it, practice all the time, and there just wasn't that type of dedication from the rest of the team. So he said, you know what? I have other priorities. I've got family. I have other things that I kind of need to step away for. And maybe he'll be back next season. We don't know necessarily, but that's a huge loss for the pro scene in general, I think, for this season.
And I think it makes sense for Nate. Like, I went through his personal statement and stuff like that, and following it just on Twitter and everything else, and it really did. It made sense for him as far as like a personal level and stuff like that. What he was going through, what he'd gone through in the past, 6 months?
Yeah. Yep.
It's even been that. I mean, it's just been kind of like you said, just a whirlwind of stuff for him. So I mean, it makes sense to him just take a step back and breathe a little bit, and then get to the point where maybe if he comes back, then he's in a situation he wants to be in where he's comfortable at it. It's got to be tough to get from like where he was almost at the top as far as like X Games and stuff like that go. There's suddenly just this completely change in teams and all this stuff happening, and then getting into this Optic team that he's just was never meant to be in. Probably, you know what I mean? It's just he probably wasn't. So
absolutely, it's a great point. I didn't really think about. He was on top, fan voted MVP of the Worlds, came in second place at Worlds, which, man, that's a huge deal on its own. Yeah, you didn't win, but second place, you're better than every other team besides one. That's a big deal, and you're on a big high. Kind of the way that team broke up was tough as well, even though they might not have wanted to play together anymore. But still, you come into another team, an organization like Optic, and you're like, all right, man, I'm here with Flame Sword, I'm here with these guys, and we're going to buckle down and get it done. And it's definitely tough to kind of make that transition, I assume. So, yeah, for sure. I mean, personally, a decision for him. I hope it works out and wish him the best, and really do hope that he returns to Halo in some capacity down the road. I know he'll still be around, so we'll see kind of what happens with that. But it kind of brings up a question with kind of Halo and esports in general. I think, with all of these roster shuffles and everything, he was the guy that I like to follow, that I like to root for, that I like to see how he performed and his team performed. Now that he's not on Optic anymore, I could honestly care less. I just don't care about them anymore.
Right.
I couldn't care less anymore about how they play. They're in last. They got stomped in the first week. Obviously, they had a tough matchup against CLG. But, I mean, it's just hard for me to root for them anymore. And going back to the kind of the bread and butter of Evil Geniuses could be the way I go. But, I liked being able to follow a guy, but I'd love to be able to have that team that I'm like, yes, I'm always going to stick to this team. I may like players on other teams, but that is my team. And I don't know if that's necessarily a situation where myself or a lot of people are at right now, because there's so much shuffling. You may like a team, but they're going to be a completely new roster in a few months.
It's weird. It's a weird dynamic, especially when you look at something like Halo. I guess, pretty much every esport in general, they're relatively small teams. Mm-hmm. It's not like you're following a football team where there's 52-man rosters and all these players and stuff like that, and you may follow it based off one player or another, but there's a lot more that goes into it. Where this is like a smaller thing, it's more comparable to something like the NBA, where they promote their stars. It's all about the stars. You have to have the superstar on your team, and then you try to get a couple of them together, because it's typically 5 people at a time, and then shuffling in subs and stuff like that. But it's definitely smaller. So it's more about the player individually, essentially. It's more about the superstars and stuff like that. So it's great to have someone to latch onto and be like, all right, this is my guy, I want to follow him. And I mean, I did kind of the same thing with Ninja, and just from watching on Twitch and stuff like that to go into Renegades and everything else. It's just, I don't know. It does. I don't necessarily think it's a right either way, just as far as like Halo goes. But especially when you look at the way these teams shuffle around and their sponsorship can get pulled, they can crumble, they can turn into something else. They're not. It's not the team isn't a solid foundation that you stay behind. Like I live in Buffalo. The Bills almost left for a while there. Like it was like a thing. Like you weren't going to have a football team anymore. But that was like earth-shattering stuff.
Right.
the NFL and
Right.
for the city of Buffalo, and everyone was gonna like tear itself apart. But that's like a commonplace theme almost in esports the way it is right now. So it's very hard to latch onto a team, especially like you don't know what that team could be completely gone. They could be completely changed. It could have a different name. It could be different sponsorship, completely different players. So I mean, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I don't think you're wrong for following Naded more than the team, and I'm wrong for following Ninja more than the team. I think it's just kind of the way it evolves and stuff like that. You latch onto a player, you like them, you like the way they play, you like the way they interact with fans on Twitch and stuff like that afterwards. So it's definitely, I think it's cool to follow the players, and then hopefully, I mean, we talked about a little bit how we want to see more concrete teams. So hopefully we'll get to that point eventually.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting comparison. I never considered how the NBA kind of compares a lot, because those stars do shuffle around quite a bit. You got LeBron moving around, Kevin Love. You got a lot of those big names that kind of move team to team, and they have such a strong following. People just follow them for the most part. Obviously, there's some polarizing people that when they reach certain teams, that's where they want people to stay. But at the same time, it's really interesting also with the NFL comparison, because it is such a big deal if a team moves or roster shuffles, because there's such a strong physical presence. Yeah, there's history. Obviously, that's a big part of it. But it's a physical presence in a city, which so much of this is like, man, it feels like it's in the cloud, like this is an organization in the cloud. Sure, maybe there's a desk somewhere that this in a little office building these people work from, or a team house or something, but it's not a multi-million, almost billion-dollar stadium. It's nothing like that. And so it's interesting to think of it in kind of both ways.
Yeah, it is. And even with with League of Legends esports as well, I did the same kind of thing where I tend to be like a TSM fan, like watching esports for League of Legends. That was because the one guy, Wild Turtle, was on there, and he was like when we first started playing the game, he was like the best player, and he had like all these names on the top of the thing and stuff like that. He was super fun to watch on Twitch.
That's a great name, by the way. Wild
Turtle. It's fantastic, and it looks like a wild turtle too. But then like he left TSM, but I had like grown to like certain players on TSM, so like I stayed with them. But if say like if Bjergsen leaves TSM this off season, I mean it's not off season anymore, but I would probably like, but yeah, I'm not their fan anymore. Maybe I'll go to Immortals or wherever someone else goes. So it's it's interesting that it's very star powered oriented. So it's cool. It's kind of a cool thing to think about. We never really talked about it.
No, we never really have, but it's cool. I mean, maybe that's something that they just embrace. That's just what it could be. So. Interesting.
Highlight that, please. Like 343 and Halo, highlight your stars. Give us something to get through to people. Promotions, do that kind of thing.
I would love that. I would love to see, because these guys are all doing it on their own, kind of, right? So they're doing it on their own through Twitch streaming and whatever, and that's great. Like that's such an awesome personal connection that you don't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like that might be all we get with them. I'd love to see big money backed 343 Microsoft putting profiles, things together to promote these stars. Let us follow them a little bit more. Give us more coverage. Like, who knows what it may be? Because there's so many stopgaps. There's like startup Twitter handles that are tracking scrim scores and startup things here and there all over Twitter. And it's good because the community is coming together and filling this need, but it's such a big opportunity for 343 to step in and say, hey, you know what? We can do this, and we can kind of use our
reach,
our manpower, our money that you don't necessarily have to really be able to put something more behind this and into it and bring you something a little bit higher quality. Which, by the way, I love everything the community does. You cannot knock anything that any of the HCS handles are doing. It is absolutely amazing. It is great work. So,
but it's different if it's something that's on. If it's something that's on Twitter or Reddit, and then something that's plastered all over the Xbox website or Xbox dashboard. I mean, like 343 and Xbox and Microsoft have this ability to plaster it everywhere that more people are going to see it, which is kind of what we've talked about a little bit before. But we want to see it wider audience. We want to see it grow. So this is one of the ways you get a league to grow, is to highlight stars, and that'd be sweet if we get that.
Absolutely. So I kind of mentioned the HCS handles on Twitter a little bit. One in particular that I do want to point out, because I've been following their development along for maybe the last month and a half, and that handle is Fantasy HCS, We tweeted about it a little bit today, but what it is it's fantasy football meets esports. So I know there's probably some other things going on, but it's fantasy football meeting Halo esports, essentially, which is awesome. I am so stoked on this because not only are they creating fantasy leagues, they're also tracking all of that data, compiling how these teams and players are performing, assigning points to it, and giving you another way to engage with Pro League, which I absolutely love. I think it's so cool that they stepped up and were like, yep, we're going to take advantage of this API. We're going to take this data and be able to turn it into something that is completely consumer-facing and something that people could potentially latch onto. Right now it's in a beta phase, but it looks great still. I mean, it's very, very bare in the functionality, and it works. And I can't wait for them to do more and just build it out. Right now it's fantasyhcs.com, I believe. We've tweeted it. We'll have the link down in the description afterwards. But I love it. I love it. And I set up a league for us. Anyone listening, if you want to hop on this, check it out. The league is DeltaHalo Podcast. And I believe that there's a password. I'm not 100% sure. But if you get asked for one, it's DeltaHalo Rules, all one word.
Obviously.
Makes sense. O'Doyle Rules and DeltaHalo Rules. So that's pretty much all that it's about.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I mean, we love our fantasy football. Fantasy
every year.
Sports are awesome in general.
Every year.
It's an awesome way to have another interaction with the sport that you're covering, that you're following. It works as far as like bringing people together, friends together, and like you're talking. Everyone's talking about this, talking about that, talking about how this player did, It's like a whole different community that grows out of this, and it's something that's super cool as far as. And actually, I mean, something like Halo is perfect as far as the counters reports and the way they have all the data and stuff planned out already. Like, I mean, it's super cool, and it makes a ton of sense to do it. It really does. I'm super excited to see what it's like. I've done, and I hope I haven't followed the FanDuel stuff at all, what's going on in New York State, but I know like they had a League of Legends on FanDuel a while ago, and I was kind of flirting around with it a little bit and checking it out. But I mean, something like that for Halo would be awesome too. It's just a whole other thing, and you could put a couple bucks on it, here or there, and say, I mean, it's stuff that it's extra stuff to get you involved and focused on what's going on in front of you and make you want to watch. And that's what we want, is to draw people in.
That's the big thing. It gives you reasons to watch other teams play. Like if at some point you do love a singular team or player and you like his team, then you might only watch their match. But this gives you reasons to watch the entire week or the entire day because you want to see how everything plays out for your fantasy team. I mean, fantasy football, I couldn't care about any of those other teams necessarily, the Falcons, the Buccaneers, who cares? But if I have Julius Jones or Julio Jones or whoever it may be on those teams, I'm going to pay attention a little bit when they get a touchdown or a bomb or something,
Oh, it's incredible. Oh, I mean, the Bills haven't made the playoffs, and for God's sakes, there's people driving on the highway next to my apartment right now that have not seen the Bills in the playoffs. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, if it wasn't for fantasy football, I would give two craps about the NFL in general because it's such a demoralizing thing as a Bills fan to even get excited about it.
Right.
I get excited every year because it's awesome and we all do this together and it's so much fun. So, I mean, I could care less, but I tune in every Sunday and I watch it and I pay attention. And the NFL Red Zone channel, it's on cable and DirecTV, is freaking awesome because you can follow everything about it.
Amazing.
So, this is the start of that. It's obviously not going to get to that level. May never get to that level. It's not going to be there for a while, but it's a start to it. And we know that something like this can really get awesome. It can be awesome. It can really be awesome.
It has
so
potential.
It's exciting. Yeah, it has the potential. Right. Great potential. So I'm excited for it. It's awesome. We've been waiting for a little bit. I think we talked about it a little while ago. We were hoping we'd get it. But I'm super excited.
I'm glad these guys stepped up. Whole crew of them. They have, programmers, guys on the back end getting it all together. So, guys, check that out for sure. Fantasy HCS on Twitter. On to Pro League updates. Last week was the first week of competition. On Thursday and Friday of last week, it all went down, and it's interesting that it's happening during the week. I'm wondering what was behind the decision making of having it on a Thursday and Friday evening, But nonetheless, it went off 2 days. Every team played one match each day, and now we're sitting with standings that look something like this. CLG, no question, at the top. They went 2-0 in their first week. EG, again, no question. They went 2-0 in their first week. Renegades, 2-0 in the first week, which is a little bit of a surprise.
A little bit.
Especially with who they matched up against in their first match on Thursday, Enigma 6, which we'll get into here in a minute. So Enigma 6, they are 1-1. Envious is 1-1. Allegiance 0-2, which is, again, a surprise because they qualified early for the Pro League as compared to teams like Liquid and Optic Gaming, who are below them as well. So Optic is 0-2 and Liquid is 0-2 as well. So let's roll into the matches real quick just to go through who beat who and how we're shaking out. As I mentioned, Enigma 6 beat Renegades. Or not, excuse me, I am completely backwards. Enigma 6 played Renegades, but Renegades beat them, which is kind of a surprise. With the way Enigma 6 was scrimming with CLG, they were the only team to take as many games against them as they did. So that was a bit of a surprise to see that. Let's see. Envious was over Allegiance. CLG rolled on Optic Gaming, and Evil Geniuses rolled on Team Liquid. Were there any surprises out of that first day that really stood out to you?
No, I mean Enigma 6 a little bit just because they'd been on a roll. But I mean Renegades was trending upwards, you could say a little bit. They were definitely up on the up and up instead of going down. So I'm not too surprised by it. I'm happy, I guess is the better way of putting it. Not really happily surprised. It's just I'm glad that they were able to do it. And so it's cool. I was very excited for that.
Yeah, I think it's great to see that. I like seeing a little bit more of even playing field because I didn't want there to be CLG, EG, Enigma 6, whoever, like just stacked at the top. So it's great to see some teams 1-1, 3 at the top 2-0, 3 at the bottom 0-2. So Friday's matches, we had E6 versus Envious, which was a great match, to be honest. Envious went up 2-0 on Enigma 6, and E6 came back with a reverse sweep and took them. So now they're both at 1-1, which great, again, to see that level of competition. CLG rolled on Team Liquid, not even close. Allegiance and Renegades. Renegades continued to have a great first week and beat Allegiance. And then Evil Geniuses took down Optic Gaming. Optic with a rough first week, which is not much of a surprise with Naded leaving, them scrambling to pick up APG, who, not being on Liquid anymore, stepped in. And, I mean, we all know that if someone steps in right before tournament time, it's going to be tough to have any chemistry and really succeed in that first competition. So look for them to improve for sure, but it's going to be an uphill climb at this point.
Yeah, it's a long season, so I mean, even if your team's 0-2, it's not the end of the world.
Nope.
It's something they could come back on. It's tough. It's tough to get out of the hole, but I mean, you gotta look at it as far as from an Optic Gaming standpoint of like, hey, you played EG and CLG. All right, now at the very best, you were maybe hoping to split those, and you're kind of probably expecting this. So now you get down to it. Now you buckle up and you put on your big boy pants and you go to town and see what you can do.
To be honest, it could have been the best week for them to have a fresh roster because. Sure. There's 2 matches that, like you said, you don't necessarily expect to win. So now you get down, you put on your work gloves, you start practicing up, and really.
I don't think work gloves are going to be good for playing Halo, though. Might be a little tough. I'm not sure it really gives you the feel you're looking for with the controller in your hand.
What else? Work boots? Maybe you're just sitting there in work boots. All right, work boots.
Put some boots on.
All right, put on some work boots.
There you go.
And a hard hat. Put a hard hat on.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so I think they're going to be in a good spot now. They're going to be playing teams that will be a little bit more on their level. And I think they'll be able to hopefully put some wins together for Optic, the organization's sake. I think we'd all like to see them be successful, at least moderately, so that an organization of that much popularity sticks around in the Pro League.
Yeah, we don't want to see them go over and then just get dropped, That's not what we're looking for. I don't think we want that for any of the teams. So, something like we want parity, I guess is the best way of putting it. Exactly. Parity is good.
I think, any sports league really does strive to have as much parity as possible so that you can spread out the fandom. You can have people cheering for each team equally, which, in the end generates as much excitement and popularity around each match. So yeah, I think ideally that's what we want to see. If it'll happen this time, I don't, it's hard to really say. It's 1 week, so it's kind of TBD at this point. But rolling into this week, we've got matches on Thursday and Friday, which thank God we didn't schedule Halo Bowl on Thursday or Friday, because that would have been some really tough competition to go up against.
Conflicting, yeah.
That would not have worked out great.
We would have felt bad for ESL and 343 and the Halo Championship
we would have been taking all their viewers, really.
Yeah, it would have been tough for them. Sorry, guys. I'm glad I didn't do that. You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome is really what it is. All right, so Thursday this week, matches again, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, starting 5 p.m. Pacific. We've got Renegades and Team Envious, Team Allegiance, Enigma 6, Team Liquid versus Optic Gaming, and CLG and Evil Geniuses. There are going to be some very good matchups on Thursday this week. What's something that stands out to you out of those four?
Now let's just see how Renegades does against Envious, who's for in every right a good team, and that should be. We'll see. It's a difference between 1 and 3 and 2 and 1 is pretty big. I mean, if you're in a 1-on-1 situation as a team, you really want to get that next win.
Yep.
And as if you're 2-0, you're really maybe not looking at it as desperately. So, we'll see what happens with it, but it's definitely I'm excited for that matchup and. Just seeing what Allegiance could. Obviously, the CLG and EG is a huge matchup, and it's awesome. It's great. Yeah. But I'm kind of looking to see what else we got as far as because something like the Enigma 6 versus Allegiance can Allegiance turn it around a little bit.
Well, that's the storyline there. I think are they going to be able to rebound because 0 for 2 in the first week is probably not what they were expecting.
No, not what you're expecting, and now you're going up against another good team as well, and who maybe was hoping to be 2-0 after the first week, and they're not, so they're going to be hungry for it too. So, I mean, I think you're going to get it's got the potential for a really good matchup, so I'm definitely excited for that one.
Yeah, so, I mean, and even looking ahead to Friday, Allegiance has CLG on Friday. They are going to want to win on Thursday and prevent themselves from going in an 0-4 hole because that, again, is not going to be a good place for them to be. I mean, honestly, that matchup I could have said, man, E6 is going to take it, but I would say look for Team Allegiance to press because they are going to want to get at least one win out of this week's matches.
It's about as close to a must-win as you can get in the third day of the
exactly
Pro League. So.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing. It's only going to be the third day, but it's going to be the second week, and you can guarantee they're not going to beat CLG for the most part. And going 0 for 4, that's not a good spot to be. Absolutely. Going to be a definitely type of must-win. You've got Team Liquid and Optic Gaming, the two bottom teams right now. So this, again, is a good opportunity for either one of those teams to climb out, get a win, and start to make some moves up the leaderboard because in the next matches on Friday, Liquid has Renegades and Optic has Team Envious, which are both probably winnable for both of those teams. And they're just going to be stiff contests. So it's going to all start on Thursday. Thursday, I think, is going to be a big day for the Halo Gaming.
Yeah, it should be great. It's good matchups. Now you're rolling into things, and we get to see how these teams play with a couple days break in between their competitive games. I mean, it's interesting to see how they react for it. It's not a tournament feature where you're just rolling one after the other, or one day to the next. They've had time. They can make adjustments. They can go do what they got to do and get their stuff going and see how they rebound and move into the next week. So I think it's super cool. I'm excited to see how the teams react and see what happens. It should be fun to watch.
So now that we've kind of gone over these matchups for both days, what's your storyline going to be for something to look out for going into second week of Pro League?
I mean, I think the storyline, the one to look for is going to be, I think it's definitely Allegiance to see what they can do. Because they're a big name team. They've been it's been a topsy-turvy thingy, whatever, kind of a couple months for them and stuff like that. So that's a big storyline to me. If they go 0-4, it's a huge storyline. Just because that's gigantic, and that's really a gigantic hole. So, I mean, you look at them, and that's a giant. That'd be a surprise for me. I'd be surprised. I think most people would be surprised if they are 0-4, which they very easily could be. So they have to get a good win. And I think if Renegades is 2 very winnable games ahead of them too, then they could be 4-0. And who knows what can happen with CLG and EG. So when you tie all those things in, I think Renegades may be the biggest story, just because they could, not easily, but easier than. They have an easier path to 4-0 than CLG or EG does. Let's put it that.
Absolutely.
So they could be tops after the second week.
That's a great point. So I think my storyline is going to be looking at Evil Geniuses. To be honest, sitting at 2-0 right now, right behind CLG. They draw CLG on Thursday. Huge matchup. They need to make a statement here, I have to say. Again, third day, but I think they need to make a statement here. If they do end up losing, going 2-1, they could potentially also lose on Friday with a tough matchup against Enigma 6, because we know if they get hot, start rolling, they could make big moves and surprise a team like Evil Geniuses, because honestly, it's not a surprise because E6 could be right up there with those guys.
They're very good team. They're a very good roster, and they could easily be, we could see them easily being someone that challenges CLG in this series. So, yeah, I mean, that's a good point, and it could be. I mean, CLG could be third after the second week, which would be huge.
EG.
No, but CLG could be third.
You think CLG could take some losses this week?
If they lose to EG?
Whew, that would be a big
right?
big
moment. If they lose to EG, I mean, even at that point, it doesn't matter. Even if EG loses the next game, they're still ahead. I imagine they'd be ahead on the head-to-head matchup with CLG, and if Renegades wins, that's right.
I wasn't even going there.
All right. Completely hypotheticals, and we'll probably be completely wrong. Renegades will probably get swept and lose every game and stuff like that.
Exactly. Now that we're calling it out, we're jinxing them.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, just imagine that. That would be crazy.
Man, I want nothing more than to see chaos like that.
Sure.
I would love to see CLG lose one. God, EG take them both 4-0. That'd be great. I mean, all those EG fans out there would be happy.
Yeah, Lethal will be sweating a little bit. That'd be nice for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Put a little pressure on that guy for a change.
I don't think Frosty sweats. I just don't think he sweats at all. He's the freaking cold-blooded killer. So.
Well, yeah, cold-blooded killer for sure. And who knows if he's gotten any armpit hair yet?
Yeah, right. Oh, goodness.
So, guys, tune in for those matchups this week. We're excited for them. Thursday and Friday of this week, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. All of that kicks off. You can catch it all on Twitch and tune in for that. So, we talked a lot about Halo Pro League. Halo Bowl. Halo Bowl. We're going to Halo Pro League after Halo Bowl.
Yeah.
Of course. But Halo Bowl is coming up. We're super pumped for this event. It's kind of the battle royale between 4 of the community's podcasts, and we're going to really dive into it and break that down in this week's weekly intel, so please stick around for that. Halo Bowl coming at you Wednesday, June 8th, 6:30 p.m., twitch.tv/podtacular. There's going to be so much going on there. As we said, we'll have some live casting going on. We'll have sweet overlays. We're doing this all for charity. It's a 4v4 round robin tournament. We'll be kind of breaking it down by playing. Every team will play each team, and then the top 2 teams out of the round robin will go on to the championship, and we'll crown, the top podcast of them all. Hopefully, you are all going to be kind of cheering us on. We're getting ready for it. Been scrimming a little bit, and we're excited. As we said at the top of the episode, we're pumped. Cat's been talking trash, which is great. We need him to be kind of hyping us up and putting a little bit of intimidation factor out there. We got our buddy Legit Beast Mode from the community pulled into our team here, so we're feeling pretty good about it, I think. We had a really strong, moderately strong scrim night last week, and
it was pretty strong overall. I mean,
I would say so, yeah.
It ended a little rough, but I mean that was after a couple hours of playing and stuff like that, and I think we rolled pretty well. I think.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, you take us into a best of 5. You have a chance to lose 1, lose 2, and still take it best of 5 with 3. So, yeah, I'm excited for it. I mean, we've played in a few online tournaments in the past, and not much to be said about it. I mean, you and Kat have always kind of been pumped about getting out there and playing some other teams. So what's a story that kind of sticks out in your mind from one of the tournaments? Or
well, I mean, the story that sticks out in my mind is us getting completely curb stomped in MCC one that we had. That was a ridiculous. Like it was first of all, it was a giant pain in the ass. We went into it. They're like, oh, this is gonna be cool. We'll hold our own. I mean, we got destroyed.
Well, I mean, it was Halo MCC first off.
It was broken as shit.
Yeah, it was on Warlord, if I remember.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I mean, that was gross.
It was not great.
I've never claimed to be the best Halo 2 player. I was really, and I don't think any of us were the best Halo 2 players. We spent most of our Halo 2 days, we were pretty good. We got pretty good when we started playing online a little bit. But we spent most of our Halo 2 just playing each other in your basement, you know?
Yeah. Well, Kat will beg to differ on this one. He thinks he's, BXR 4-shotter.
Something.
That's what he loves to do, but
I mean, I think Halo 3, I was pretty darn good at as far as that goes. And I think that was my best one. But that being said,
Halo 5 is your best one, you meant to say.
Yeah, well, no, that's what I'm getting to. Honestly, I think Halo 5 fits my playstyle and stuff like that more than any other previous Halo and everything. And it's really been something that I felt that we've played a significant amount of, and we've been steadily improving on how we play, and we've been paying more attention to. Obviously, doing the podcast and stuff like that helps because we're involved more often. But just paying attention to the pros, watching how they play. I've significantly slowed down my play style quite a bit and taken kind of a breather and a step back at times and really help my game and trying to do even things just team shooting and stuff like that we never really paid attention to before, and our positioning to be able to help someone out with a sight line and everything. It's really just, I think I'm much better at Halo 5 than I've ever been at any other Halo before. I'm not great. Obviously, I'm not, in freaking Challenger series or anything like that. It's not that, but I'm good. I'm significantly better than most people, I believe. So
sure.
I'm excited for it. I think that we can hold our own in this more than we've ever been able to in any other Halo. We pay more attention to everything. We arguably play more, but we play more whenever we can, and we're pretty good at playing together. And we've kind of focused on things like communication a lot more. Things like the maps and where to be on the maps and stuff like that have really kind of come to the forefront of our thoughts. Maybe we're just older and wiser. I don't know. Maybe that's it.
That could be. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it could be that, which is funny to say because it's so cliche, but you think about any other sport. I remember playing soccer in high school, and while we were good, it's kind of man, everything's moving really, really fast for you until you kind of remove yourself from that scene. You get older, everything just slows down a little bit, I think, and you think more. It's much more of a cerebral game once you get to that point. And I think, we've been playing Halo since Halo 2. When it first came out, we played a little bit of CE. And, we've been playing this game for a very long time. And, yeah, maybe we don't necessarily have the twitch reflexes that someone that's 15, 16, 17 is going to have over us. But, we're still able to play the game smart. We're definitely way more conscious of our positioning. And, I mean, even just our moods, team mood and
atmosphere.
Keeping everybody positive rather than kind of just dwelling on what's negatively happening. I think that's a really big aspect of our game, and I just think we think the game a little bit smarter than we used to, which I think goes a long way. We might get outshot here and there, but something that I did notice when we were scrimming the other day is you can tend to overthink in times. You just try to think, okay, am I necessarily in the right place? Am I making the right call-outs? Am I doing everything properly? And then you start to not focus on your game side. And then I think that's when we started running into some tough games and we got frustrated. And, I think a lot of the time we were having some issues with team shooting. And being aware of these, being able to look back afterwards and say, you know what, these are kind of the things we need to focus on, work on, and we can really go into games this week prior to Halo Bowl and work on them and recognize the fact that we had some faults, we had some areas that we could definitely be doing better on. And I think that's something big if you can recognize that there's things you can get better on all the time.
Yeah, and I think we've even coming into this, we've actually just getting better in Halo and actually trying to get better at the game as a team and stuff like that was something we never really did before. And just the preparation aspect of what we've been going into just this tournament. I mean, just doing any preparation at all, which we never really did.
That's a great point.
The tournaments we played in before, the online tournaments, stuff like that, I was like, oh, this online tournament's Saturday. What are we going to do? Okay, well, I won't be, super hungover Saturday. I won't be drinking at that time. We'll just go play. It was so it was different as far as that goes. It's just instead of just oh, we're jumping into this tournament, oh, we got this going on next week, we're going to actually make a conscious decision of at least I know I have, especially playing significant amounts in the last week, and so I had some time and I was ready to go, and it was just a thing of hey, I'm going to play the game to get better at it, as opposed to just playing it to go kill people and try to get the best score and the best KD and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
I agree, and there's times where I'll go in now, understanding that something's coming up, and it's just all right, I'm going to work on one thing tonight.
Sure.
I'm going to try and get better at. Who knows? I've been trying to get better at getting the final headshot or finishing my kills because I'm great at getting the damage, but I can't finish the kills. I'm going to work on finishing this game or tonight when I'm playing in this session. And you can focus on things like that. Finish. We're not talking about the country.
That's right. It's a shout out to NHL 14, 13?
Could be 13. I don't remember. But yeah, I think that's definitely something, it was always Cat signs us up for some online tournament, exactly. And we're all right, I guess I'm free, or I'll make my schedule clear so that I can hop on and play.
Dude, we can win $500 for this. Come on, let's go.
Exactly.
Let's get in here.
Cat has to organize the custom game, set it all up, hop into the other guys' parties, make sure everything's good, and then we'll go in, play, and get smoked. And it's man, what happened? What did we do? What didn't we do? We're just so... it's like a whirlwind. We're kind of just thrown into the wolves, and we're just eaten alive and just get stomped. So I think now being able to have a little bit of preparation, we're all right, cool. Now I think we have something to expect out of it.
That being said, we're not taking it too seriously.
No,
it sounds like we're really going in on it. So we're kind of just
might be.
We're taking it seriously. Obviously, we want to win. We're all competitive people. I'm stupidly competitive, and I hate losing. But it's a thing of I don't know how to describe it. We want to win, and it's going to be fun, and we're doing it for a good cause, and it's this fun opportunity and stuff like that. And sure, we're talking smack because we want to beat the crap out of them and mention it every podcast we do for the next 3 years or something like that until the next Halo Bowl. But we're I don't know. I'm just looking forward to playing it competitively in a fun atmosphere like that and having fun with it.
Yeah. Well, the great thing is
have people watching and being that kind of thing.
Yeah, you have people watching, and we're playing against guys we know essentially.
Sure.
That's cool. Again, anytime you get into custom matches with a big group of your friends, you have 8 guys, and it's just oh yeah, it's so much more fun to know who you're killing because you just want to try harder to get them because you're I gotta be able to brag on Travis after this round or something like that.
Sure. And we know we're not playing a bunch of 15-year-old kids or 16 or 17 or 18-year-old kids that have nothing better to do with their time. They just go home and play Halo, and they come into a tournament. Most of these people are older and have jobs and other priorities and stuff like that.
They're all in the same situation as us, right? We're all kind of juggling our responsibilities and day jobs and everything like that. So it's cool to be able to have the time to be all right, we have a night free. Let's organize the community. Let's get together. And I think that's the other great thing, right? We're bringing the community together in a great cause like this, something that's entertaining, something that's outside of professional Halo playing. And I know they've done 2v2 tournaments and things like that, but I mean, this is just cool to be able to be yep, none of the podcasts, we're not competing, we're all kind of in this together. This will bring us as a community closer, I believe, and will set us up for future things like this.
Sure, it'll bring us closer, except I'm going to teabag them repeatedly, and that's probably not going to sit well, but it's going to happen, so get ready for it.
Well, the great thing is, after the Halo Bowl, we'll have a recap podcast where we'll be able to go in, trash talk about what happened, and it'll be great. It's going to be one of those things where you're sitting around after you have a rec game, go out to the bar, have a few beers, and just, kind of shoot the breeze about what just happened in the game. And that's cool. Right. Like, it's fun.
And I'm sure if we lose, I will not be a poor sport about it at all. It's definitely not going to happen.
You have an elite controller now. You can't chuck that one.
That's true. I cannot throw that. It's not happening. I'll keep my other one on standby and just throw that instead.
Yeah. Damn it. That's just have like anything, like some like water bottles.
I'm gonna get a stress ball.
Yeah, there you go, stress ball, perfect.
Yep.
So we mentioned we're scrimming a little bit. Maybe we should be doing a little bit more. What else? Is there anything else that, just in general, preparing for a match, something that we could or should be doing? Maybe next time around we can refocus on, or anything. I don't know. What comes to your mind?
I think the biggest. Well, I mean, we've done a little bit as far as the preparing, as far as playing together and then looking at the game differently. I'm trying to focus more on what can we do better, how can we win, and stuff like that. But we really haven't talked about it like as a team and a group per se. Like I think we've done a little bit of work on it individually, and we play together and stuff like that. And then we have dissected how we can do better a little bit. But we really haven't talked about it at all. Like I was thinking about it the other day when we were scrimming and stuff like that. Legit's a pretty good sniper, but he repeatedly went and took the sniper rifle over and over again when we were scrimming, which isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But I think that I'm better at sniping. Oh, shit. Sorry. Oops. Excuse me. And, I'm not calling him out. He's good, but I think I'm just a little bit better. So it'd be something like where we could prioritize how someone plays a map or how someone plays a weapon or how they do it in this position and kind of talk about it that way and talk about it as a team and really understand the ins and outs of each other and stuff like that, and then setting up a game plan essentially of what to do on this map with this weapon, where we want to go and stuff, and that kind of thing. So I think that's something we could do better with. But
that's a great point. I do like that idea. I hadn't really considered it too much because in my mind, I'm always the guy that's like, nope, do not give me power weapons.
Right.
Don't give me power weapons. I will be support player. I'll be able to work with objectives. I can support you guys more than taking the power weapons and trying to get those kills. That's not my role, and I know it. So in my mind, I've always been like, yeah, that's my role, whatever.
Right.
But being able to have a full team kind of just huddle, get together, and be like, yep, this is how we need to play this map. This is how we should play this map. These are the situations where certain power weapons should go to certain players. We should kind of be able to rally around and support each other. And yeah, I mean, that's something that's never really occurred to me, but I think would be really valuable, as well as actually taking the time. And this sounds kind of like, man, this is common sense, but we play enough and you kind of think, oh yeah, we know all the call outs on the map. We kind of call them what we think they should be called, but it's like, really, let's go into a custom game and go section by section and be like, all right, this is what this is called. Let's make sure our call outs are all in sync so that we understand when we're calling something out,
sure,
that we're all thinking about the same section of the map, which is something we've never really done. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think we talked about it. We did have a couple of discussions last week when we were playing, as far as let's call this type of thing,
Yeah.
So we did a little bit of that too. But yeah, that totally going in and breaking down the maps, even something like that.
Yeah.
That's the planning thing ahead of time. That's probably something we should have done months ago.
Yeah.
Details.
Then put it into practice.
Whatever.
Reinforce, but yeah, whatever.
But yeah, totally. I think it's something that's stuff you don't think about. You really don't. Like me and Kat have, for how long have I known Rob for? Forever. For God's sake.
Longer than I've known him. And I've known him since seventh grade.
So we've been playing Halo since 7th, 8th, freshman year of high school. It's been a long time since we've been playing Halo and games together and knowing each other. And every single thing that me and Rob have done, or Kat have done, has been competitive or some way, shape, or form where we argue about this or that, or we're fighting over the power weapons, or it's been constant of that. It really has been. We've fought over the power weapons in Halo forever, literally as long as we played it for.
Yeah.
So it's kind of we do it, and it's not. We're not really fighting over the power weapons, but it's I could, nice job with that sniper. I would have done much better with that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, it's something you don't think about, and something is when we talk about, to bring this kind of maybe full circle a little bit, getting back to the esports and pro scene and stuff like that. This is what maybe the coaches come in.
Yeah.
All these guys are freaking phenomenal Halo players. They're all super good. They're all better than we could possibly imagine to be, and one of them has to be the designated power weapon guy in this map, or one of them should be the guy that gets this position. I know they switch around, but there's got to be someone who's like, hey, snipe down gets a sniper. Come on, guys, like snipe, give hit to him, give snipe down the sniper, put it down, give it to him. But like that's something like you don't think about ahead of time, and that's something like a coach can come in handy of like, hey, this is you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing this.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to think about breaking things down in a game plan like that, and not just like letting the game flow anymore. Like actually addressing it in that prepared state.
Yeah, and I'll say even another piece that stand out to me a lot about Naded, who retired, who we were talking about earlier, is so many times I watched him play, he would always be the guy. Once they capture the flag, they'd slay, get to a point where they have control of spawns and the map, and they can get the flag. He has traditionally, it looked like on Optic, been the guy that pulled the flag almost every single time. He would start those flag runs, and that's again another situation where you have somebody's with the power weapon overlooking X part of the map, another guy locking down this spawn, another guy locking down that spawn, and then the one guy pulling the flag, and you're able to really understand your role so that you can get the flag back as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
Yeah, and it's just something we don't think about. Like, legit had some awesome flag runs when we were playing last week. Yeah. And like a situation like, all right, legit, give me the sniper here because you're freaking awesome at running the flag. So you go do that. You got your route down. You know what you want to do. You made some awesome ninja pulls last week. Maybe let's do that. And it's just kind of like something you don't think about when you're just playing with your buddies and jumping in and playing.
That's the thing. The habit has always been for so long, like, hey, we're just gonna play some, hop in some Slayer, and that's what it's gonna be. You don't go that far into dissecting your game. You're just like, yeah, I'm playing for fun, whatever. Let's just hop in and get some matches.
Like I said, Kat and I we've all been friends forever. When we've played a bunch of games together and kind of get our little quibbles about like power weapons and stuff like that. But I'm not going to be the guy that's like super douchey, like, oh, I have to get the sniper. It's not what I'm going to do on a Friday night when we're all playing Halo together.
Right. That's the thing. It's just not that important at times.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like putting pressure on myself that I'm probably missing shots and everything. And it's just like, well, there's no reason for that. So, all right, he got the sniper, whatever. I'll pick it up when he dies. It's like fine. Like that's just something that we've always done. We've played Halo with a bunch of different cast of characters, so it's kind of always been just going at it for fun. And now we're looking at it a little. We always want to win, but it's just not the same level, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of not the same level, I was thinking after the matches we played last week, I was like, man, if I had time, I would go into theater mode and actually watch film of myself and see what I did wrong in certain situations. That's like complete next level dedication, reviewing your gameplay. But I think it's vital. I mean, if you really do want to go up the next level, you're going to be able to go back and say, man, why did I do that? Why did I do this? Situationally, where could I have done something different or been in a better position? Why did I sprint right out into the middle to try and get that kill? Next time, let me think about it and sit back and let the play unfold in front of me. Certain things like that you just don't think about. Again, it's the same thing with traditional sports. That's why you have film sessions in between practices, in between games, because then you go back and say, oh, man, you can see the whole field. Like, I can't believe I did that. If I had only known something else was going to happen, and 9 times out of 10 it does, like, you can be ready for that in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been going esports, traditional sports. What separates the very good people from the good people, and then the greats from the very good, is the level of preparedness, the film studies, the digressing how your game was in the previous match or whatever, and then going back and looking at it and say, oh, I could have done this better, and then going out and practicing it 7,000 times.
Right.
That's what's made like the best players in anything the best at what they do, is that they have that level of obsessive, just going to not make that mistake again, going to make sure that I know exactly what to do next time. Like that's next level stuff, and that's where you see, and I don't think that people appreciate enough of what like the pro players do, like in esports and in sports in general. I mean, you're not just going out and playing a game. Like, it's not that. This is, especially like something like the NFL or NHL or any of these pro leagues, the amount of work that these guys put in, and even like the Halo guys. I mean, there's not just scrimming. It's playing with a purpose. You're not just playing a game. There's so much more beyond that. And like even just we've talked about, we've looked off this that we should have done and could have done and what we've been doing in preparation. And this is for a fun little tournament that we're doing.
Yeah, a charity event
for
essentially.
Money. So like when you think about it, it's super cool and awesome just to understand like how dedicated these guys are and gals, and and just it's sweet, and it's tough. It's a tough life, you know. It
Yeah,
really
you
is.
start to gain appreciation once you start to relate to them a little bit more,
Yep.
step in their shoes, to a degree, right? So you understand to a degree, you gain some empathy for what they're doing and the time and work they're putting in, and I mean it's impressive. It's impressive because you see they just know every part of the map. They know all the idiosyncrasies of their teammates. They know just everything, all the preparation that they put in. It definitely far exceeds what you would expect. I can imagine, and it's cool, man. It's really cool to be able to kind of experience that leading into this event, which again is for fun. It's for fun. We're playing 3 other podcasts, and it's gonna be a good time for charity, for gamers outreach, raise some
Yep.
money, build a go-kart, and in the end, hopefully bring some happiness and things that we're just talking about right now, getting so excited about. Bring that to these kids, brighten up their day, and in the end, that's what it's all about. So, man, I can't wait. I know I know you're excited for sure. I know Cat's excited, and we can't wait to get started. But man, everybody, just tune in on Wednesday again, June 8th, 6:30 p.m. Twitch.tv/podtacular. We'll have tons of details up on Twitter before this even gets close. Today,
Twitter, we got part_time_elite.
Yep.
That's our DeltaHalo Twitter account. I'll be tweeting about it as well from my personal one. It's Matty_ice gaming. Ice gaming is one word, so it's Matty_ice gaming. And then we'll be blowing this up next couple of days. We're super excited for it, and we can't wait to get going.
Yeah, for sure. So, any last words before we sign off for this episode? Again, guys, we're not having trivia this week, so thank you so much for listening all the way to the end. Matty, what do you got?
I think we should do a trivia of give me a list of the other members of the podcast that I teabag in the tournament.
Keep track.
Someone can give me a full rundown of that. You'll get a point for trivia. We'll count it for the next time around.
There we go.
Because it's gonna happen, and I'm coming for him. It's gonna get real. We're not messing around anymore. No more Mr. Nice podcast people
this
anymore.
This is gonna be cutthroat once
it's gonna get ugly
in the battlefield. Teabags left and right. Whew.
That's right. Throwing them down.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode 29. We will catch you on Wednesday of this week. And if you, for some reason, miss out on Halo Bowl, you don't listen until after Wednesday, whatever it may be, we will see you next week for episode 30. Same time, same place. Thank you so much for listening. Talk to you next week.
Later.
I don't know if I played that
the industrial crate boxes that you can get in and stuff. One of those were up in the air. Yeah,
Oh,
that was
yeah.
awesome. And you can't jump off the map because it's just